Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And we're a little late getting started, so I'm going to start right off with Srila Sanatana Goswami's prayers to the Bhagavatam, which explains what we're doing and why. And it goes like this. Sarvashastabdi piyusha, sarva vedaika satpala, sarva siddhanta ratnaja, sarva lokaika drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad-Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidvanduditaritya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshaksharayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madekabando matsangin, madguro man mahadana, man nistadaga madbhagya, mad ananda namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin, atini chochata kara, anamuncha gadachin mam, premnarit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, now that the poison has been removed, it's kind of like the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. First of all, you got to remove the poison. Then you can get the nectar. Now there's going to be some serious churning to get some things before the nectar comes. We've reached the chapter 8 of the Canto 8, the churning of the milk ocean. This chapter describes how the goddess of fortune appeared during the churning of the ocean of milk, and how she accepted Lord Vishnu as her husband. As described later in the chapter, when Dhanvantari appeared with a pot of nectar, the demons immediately snatched it from him. But Lord Vishnu appeared as the incarnation, Mohini, the most beautiful woman in the world, just to captivate the demons and save the nectar for the demigods. After Lord Shiva drank all the poison, both the demigods and demons took courage and resumed their activities of churning. Because of this churning, first the Surabhi cow was produced. A Surabhi cow was produced. Great saintly persons accepted this cow to derive clarified butter from its milk and offered this clarified butter in oblations for great sacrifices. Thereafter a horse named Uchchaishrava was generated. This horse was taken by Bali Maharaj. Then there appeared Airavata and other elephants that could go anywhere in any direction, and she-elephants also appeared. The gem known as Kaustuba was also generated, and Lord Vishnu took that gem and placed it in his chest. Thereafter a Parijata flower and the Apsaras, the most beautiful women in the universe, were generated. Then the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, appeared. The demigods, great sages, Gandharvas, and others offered her their respectful worship. The goddess of fortune could not find anyone to accept as her husband, At last, she selected Lord Vishnu to be her master. Lord Vishnu gave her a place to stay everlastingly at his chest. Because of this combination of Lakshmi and Narayana, all who were present, including the demigods and people in general, were very pleased. The demons, however, being neglected by the goddess of fortune, were very depressed. Then Varuni, the goddess of drinking, was generated. And by the order of Lord Vishnu, the demons accepted her. Then the demons and demigods with renewed energy began to churn again. This time a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu called Dhanvantari appeared. He was very beautiful, and he carried a jug containing nectar. The demons immediately snatched the jug from Dhanvantari's hand and began to run away. And the demigods, being very morose, took shelter of Vishnu. After the demons snatched the jug from Dhanvantari, they began to fight among themselves. Lord Vishnu solaced the demigods, who therefore did not fight, but remained silent. While the fighting was going on among the demons, the Lord himself appeared as the incarnation Mohini, the most beautiful woman in the universe. Okay, how many are there now? There's Dhanvantari, there's Mohini, there's Ajita, and there's another one at the top. Then there's Tortoise. Five incarnations of Krishna to do one pastime. It's the most interesting pastime. One of them, the Bhagavatam. Okay, text 1. Shukadeva Goswami continued upon Lord Shiva's drinking the poison. Both the demigods and the demons, being very pleased, began to churn the ocean with renewed vigor. As a result of this, there appeared a cow known as Surabhi. Purport. The Surabhi cow is described as Havirdani, the source of butter. Butter, when clarified by melting, produces ghee, or clarified butter, which is inevitably necessary for performing great ritualistic sacrifices. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.5, Yagya dana tapak karma, natyajam karyameva tat. Sacrifice, charity, and austerity are essential to keep human society perfect, in peace and prosperity. Yagya, the performance of sacrifice, is essential. To perform yagya, clarified butter is absolutely necessary. And to get clarified butter, milk is necessary. Milk is produced when there are sufficient cows. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita 18:44, cow protection is recommended. Krishi go rakshivani jam, vaishyakarma swabhava jam. Text 2. O King Parikshit, great sages who were completely aware of the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies took charge of that Surabhi cow, which produced all the yogurt, milk, and ghee absolutely necessary for offering oblations into the fire. They did this just for the sake of pure ghee, which they wanted for the performance of sacrifices to elevate themselves to the higher planetary systems, up to Brahmaloka. Purport. Surabhi cows are generally found on the Vaikuntha planets. As described in Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna, on his planet, Goloka Vrindavan, engages in tending the Surabhi cows. Surabhir abhipalayantam. These cows are the Lord's pet animals. From the Surabhi cows, one can take as much milk as one needs, and one may milk these cows as many times as he desires. In other words, the Surabhi cow can yield milk unlimitedly. Milk is necessary for the performance of yajna. Sages know how to use milk to elevate human society to the perfection of life. Since cow protection is recommended everywhere in the Shastras, the Brahmavadis took charge of the Surabhi cow, in which the demons were not very interested. Text 3. Therefore a horse named Uchai Shrava, which was as white as the moon, was generated. Bali Maharaj desired to possess this horse, and Indra, the king of heaven, did not protest, for he had previously been so advised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 4. As the next result of the churning, the king of elephants, named Airavata, was generated. This elephant was white, and with its 4 tusks, it defied the glories of Kailas mountain, the glorious abode of Lord Shiva. Text 5. Thereafter, O king, 8 great elephants, which could go in any direction, were generated. They were headed by Airavana. 8 she-elephants, headed by Abrumu, were also generated. Purport: the names of the 8 elephants were Airavana, Pundarik, Vamana, Kumuda, Anjana, Pushpadanta, Sarvabhauma, and Supratika. Text 6. Generated thereafter from the great ocean were the celebrated gems, Kaustuba money and Padmaraga money. Lord Vishnu, to decorate his chest, desired to possess them. Generated next was the Parijata flower, which decorates the celestial planets. O king, as you fulfill the desires of everyone on this planet by fulfilling all ambitions, the Parijata fulfills the desires of everyone. Text 7. Next there appeared the Apsaras, who were used as prostitutes on the heavenly planets. They were fully decorated with golden ornaments and lockets, and were dressed in fine and attractive clothing. The Apsaras move very slowly and in an attractive style that bewilders the inhabitants of the heavenly planets. Text 8. Then there appeared the goddess of fortune, Rama, who was absolutely dedicated to being enjoyed by the personality of Godhead. She appeared like electricity, surpassing the lightning that might illuminate the marble mountain. Purport: Shri means opulence. Krishna is the owner of all opulences. Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Rich, should have known it. Shantim Richjati. This was Tamal Gopal Baba. He must be here because we heard him careening around through the hallways. This Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Yatvam Mam Shantimrichati. This peace formula for the whole world is given in Bhagavad Gita 5.29. When people know that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and his most intimate well-wishing friend, look at who comes through the door, just as a well-wishing friend is talked about. Okay. This is so good. Okay. This peace formula for the world is given in Bhagavad Gita 5.29. When people know that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the most intimate, well-wishing friend of all living entities, peace and prosperity will ensue all over the world. Unfortunately, the conditioned souls, being placed into illusion by the external energy of the Lord, want to fight with one another, and therefore peace is disturbed. The first prerequisite for peace is that all the wealth presented by Shri, the goddess of fortune, be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone should give up his false proprietorship over worldly possessions and offer everything to Krishna. This is the teaching of the Krishna consciousness movement. Text 9. Because of her exquisite beauty, her bodily features, her youth, her complexion, and her glories, everyone, including the demigods, the demons, and the human beings, desired her. They were attracted because she is the source of all opulences. Purport: Who in this world does not want to possess wealth, beauty, and the social respectability that comes from these opulences? People generally desire material enjoyment, material opulence, and the association of aristocratic family members, Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam. Material enjoyment entails money, beauty, and the reputation they bring, which can all be achieved by the mercy of the Goddess of Fortune. The Goddess of Fortune, however, never remains alone. As indicated in the previous verse by the word Bhagavat Para, she is the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is enjoyable only by Him. If one wants the favor of the Goddess of Fortune, Mother Lakshmi, because she is by nature Bhagavat Para, one must keep her with Narayana. The devotees who always engage in the service of Narayana, Narayana Parayana, can easily achieve the favor of the Goddess of Fortune, without a doubt. But materialists who try to get the favor of the Goddess of Fortune only to possess her for personal enjoyment are frustrated. Theirs is not a good policy. The celebrated demon Ravana, for example, wanted to deprive Ramachandra of Lakshmi, Sita, and thus be victorious. But the result was just the opposite. Sita, of course, was taken by force by Lord Ramachandra, and Ravana and his entire material empire were vanquished. The Goddess of Fortune is desirable for everyone, including human beings, but one should understand that the Goddess of Fortune is the exclusive property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot achieve the mercy of the Goddess of Fortune unless one prays both to her and to the Supreme Enjoyer, the Personality of Godhead. Text 10. The King of Heaven, Indra, brought a suitable sitting place for the Goddess of Fortune. All the rivers of sacred water, such as the Ganges and Yamuna, personified themselves, and each of them brought pure water in golden water pots for Mother Lakshmi, the Goddess of Fortune. Text 11. The land became a person and collected all the drugs and herbs needed for installing the deity. The cows delivered 5 products, namely milk, yogurt, ghee, urine, and cow dung. Then spring personified collected everything produced in spring during the month of Chaitra and Vaishakha, April and May. Purport. Panchagavya, the 5 products received from the cow, namely milk, yogurt, ghee, cow dung, and cow urine, are required in all ritualistic ceremonies performed according to the Vedic directions. Cow urine and dung are uncontaminated, and since even the urine and dung of a cow are important, we can just imagine how important this animal is for human civilization. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, directly advocates Goraksha, the protection of cows. Civilized men who follow the system of Varnashrama, especially those of the Vaishya class who engage in agriculture and trade, must give protection to the cows. Unfortunately, because people in Kali Yuga are manda, all bad, and sumanda mataya, misled by false conceptions of life, they are killing cows in the thousands. Therefore, they are unfortunate in spiritual consciousness, and nature disturbs them in so many ways, especially through incurable diseases like cancer and through frequent wars among nations. As long as human society continues to allow cows to be regularly killed in slaughterhouses, there cannot be any question of peace and prosperity. Text 12. The great sages performed the bathing ceremony of the Goddess of Fortune as directed in the authorized scriptures. The Gandharvas chanted all auspicious Vedic mantras, and the professional women dancers very nicely danced and sang authorized songs prescribed in the Vedas. Text 13. The clouds in personified form beat various types of drums, known as mridangas, panavas, murajas, and anakas. They also blew conch shells and bugles, known as gomukas, and played flutes and stringed instruments. The combined sound of these instruments was tumultuous. Text 14. Thereafter the great elephants from all the directions carried big water jugs full of Ganges water and bathed the goddess of fortune to the accompaniment of Vedic mantras chanted by learned brahmanas. While thus being bathed, the goddess of fortune maintained her original style with a lotus flower in her hand, and she appeared very beautiful. The goddess of fortune is the most chaste, for she does not know anyone but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is described in this verse as Shriyam, which means that she has 6 opulences: wealth, strength, influence, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. These opulences are received from the goddess of fortune. Lakshmi is addressed here as Devi, the goddess, because in Vaikuntha she supplies all opulences to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, who in this way enjoy natural life in the Vaikuntha planets. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with his consort, the goddess of fortune, who carries a lotus flower in her hand. Mother Lakshmi is described in this verse as Sati, the supremely chaste, because she never diverts her attention from the Supreme Personality of Godhead to anyone else. Text 15. The ocean, which is the source of all valuable jewels, supplied the upper and lower portions of a yellow silk garment. The predominating deity of the water, Varuna, presented flower garlands, surrounded by 6-legged bumblebees, drunken with honey. Purport. When bathing the deity in the Abhishek ceremony with various liquids, such as milk, honey, yogurt, ghee, cow dung, and cow urine, it is customary to supply yellow garments. In this way, the Abhishek ceremony for the goddess of fortune was performed according to the regular Vedic principles. Text 16. Vishwakarma, one of the Prajapatis, supplied varieties of decorated ornaments. The goddess of learning, Saraswati, supplied a necklace. Lord Brahma supplied a lotus flower, and the inhabitants of Nagaloka supplied earrings. Text 17. Thereafter Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, having been properly celebrated with an auspicious ritualistic ceremony, began moving about, holding in her hand a garland of lotus flowers, which were surrounded by humming bumblebees. Smiling with shyness, her cheeks decorated by her earrings, she looked extremely beautiful. Purport. The goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi Ji, accepted the ocean of milk as her father, but she perpetually rests on the bosom of Narayana. She offers benedictions even to Lord Brahma and other living entities in this material world. Yet she is transcendental to all material qualities. Although she appeared to have been born of the ocean of milk, she immediately resorted to her eternal place on the bosom of Narayana. Text 18. Her 2 breasts, which were symmetrically and nicely situated, were covered with sandalwood pulp and kumkum powder, and her waist was very thin. As she walked here and there, her ankle bells jingling softly, she appeared like a creeper of gold. Text 19. While walking among the Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, Siddhas, Charanas, and denizens of heaven, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, was scrutinizingly examining them, but she could not find anyone naturally endowed with all good qualities. None of them was devoid of faults, and therefore she could not take shelter of any of them. Purport. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, having been generated from the ocean of milk, was the daughter of the ocean. Thus she was allowed to select her own husband in a Swayamvara ceremony. She examined every one of the candidates, but she could not find anyone suitably qualified to be her shelter. In other words, Narayana, the natural husband of Lakshmi, cannot be superseded by anyone in the material world. Text 20. The goddess of fortune, examining the assembly, thought in this way: someone who has undergone great austerity has not yet conquered anger. Someone possesses knowledge, but he has not conquered material desires. Someone is a very great personality, but he cannot conquer lusty desires. Even a great personality depends on something else. How then can he be the supreme controller? Purport. Here is an attempt to find the supreme controller, or Ishvara. Everyone may be accepted as an Ishvara, or controller, but still such controllers are controlled by others. For example, one may have undergone severe austerities, but still be under the control of anger. By scrutinizing analysis, we find that everyone is controlled by something else. No one, therefore, can be a true controller but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. This is supported by the Shastras, Ishvara Parama Krishna. The Supreme Controller is Krishna. Krishna is never controlled by anyone, for he is the controller of everyone, Sarva, Karana, Karanam. Text 21. Someone may possess full knowledge of religion, but still not be kind to all living entities. In someone, whether human or demigod, there may be renunciation, but that is not the cause of liberation. Someone may possess great power and yet be unable to check the power of eternal time. Someone else may have renounced attachment to the material world, yet he cannot compare to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, no one is completely freed from the influence of the material modes of nature. Purport. The statement, Dharma kvachit tatra nabhuta saridam, is very important in this verse. We actually see that there are many Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, and religionists of other cults who adhere to their religious principles very nicely, but are not equal to all living entities. Indeed, although they profess to be very religious, they kill poor animals. Such religion has no meaning. Srimad-Bhagavatam 128 says, Dharmak sanustitak pungsam bishvak sena katasuyaha notpadiyat yadi ritim shrama eva hi kevalam. One may be very expert in following the religious principles of his own sect, but if he has no tendency to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his observance of religious principles is simply a waste of time. One must develop a sense of loving Vasudeva, Vasudevat Sarvamiti, Samahatma Sudurlavaha. The sign of a devotee is that he is a friend to everyone, Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. A devotee will never allow a poor animal to be killed in the name of religion. This is the difference between a superficially religious person and a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We find that there have been many great heroes in history, but they could not escape from the cruel hands of death. Even the greatest hero cannot escape from the ruling power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when Krishna comes as death. That is described by Krishna himself, Mrityu Sarva Haras Chaham. The Lord appearing as death takes away a hero's so-called power. Even Hiranyakashipu could not be saved when Nrsingadev appeared before him as death. One's material strength is nothing before the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text 22. Someone may have longevity, but not have auspiciousness or good behavior. Someone may have both auspicious and good behavior, but the duration of his life is not fixed. Although such demigods as Lord Shiva have eternal life, they have inauspicious habits, like living in crematoriums. And even if others are well qualified in all respects, they are not devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 23. Shukadeva Goswami continued, in this way, after full deliberation, the goddess of fortune accepted Mukunda as her husband, because although he is independent and not in want of her, he possesses all transcendental qualities and mystic powers, and is therefore the most desirable. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, is self-sufficient. Since he is fully independent, he is not in want of the support or association of Lakshmi Devi. Nonetheless, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, accepted him as her husband. Text 24. Approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the goddess of fortune placed upon his shoulders the garland of newly grown lotus flowers, which was surrounded by humming bumblebees searching for honey. Then, expecting to get a place on the bosom of his Lord, she remained standing by his side, her face smiling in shyness. Text 25. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Father of the three worlds, and his bosom is the residence of Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the proprietor of all opulences. The goddess of fortune, by her favorable and merciful glance, can increase the opulence of the three worlds, along with their inhabitants and their directors, the demigods. Purport. According to the desire of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, the Supreme Personality of Godhead made his bosom her residence, so that by her glance she could favor everyone, including the demigods and ordinary human beings. In other words, since the goddess of fortune stays on the bosom of Narayana, she naturally sees any devotee who worships Narayana. When the goddess of fortune understands that a devotee is in favor of devotional service to Narayana, she is naturally inclined to bless the devotee with all opulences. The karmis try to receive the favor and mercy of Lakshmi, but because they are not devotees of Narayana, their opulence is flickering. The opulence of devotees who are attached to the service of Narayana is not like the opulence of karmis. The opulence of devotees is as permanent as the opulence of Narayana himself. Text 26. The inhabitants of Gandharva Loka and Charna Loka then took the opportunity to play their musical instruments, such as conch shells, bugles, and drums. They began dancing and singing along with their wives. Text 27. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the great sage Angira, and similar directors of universal management showered flowers and chanted mantras indicating the transcendental glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 28. All the demigods, along with the Prajapatis and their descendants, being blessed by Lakshmiji's glance upon them, were immediately enriched with good behavior and transcendental qualities. Thus, they were very much satisfied. Text 29. O king, because of being neglected by the goddess of fortune, the demons and rakshasas were depressed, bewildered, and frustrated, and thus they became shameless. Text 30. Next appeared Varuni, the lotus-eyed goddess who controls drunkards. With the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, Krishna, the demons, headed by Bali Maharaj, took possession of this young girl. Text 31. O king, thereafter, while the sons of Kashyapa, both demons and demigods, were engaged in churning the ocean of milk, a very wonderful male person appeared. Text 32. He was strongly built. His arms were long, stout, and strong. His neck, which was marked with 3 lines, resembled a conch shell. His eyes were reddish, and his complexion was blackish. He was very young. He was garlanded with flowers, and his entire body was fully decorated with various ornaments. Text 33. He was dressed in yellow garments and wore brightly polished earrings made of pearls. The tips of his hair were anointed with oil, and his chest was very broad. His body had all good features, and he was stout and strong like a lion, and he was decorated with bangles. In his hand he carried a jug filled to the top with nectar. Text 34. This person was Dhanvantari, a plenary portion of Lord Vishnu. He was very conversant with the science of medicine, and as one of the demigods, he was permitted to take a share in sacrifices. Purport. Srila Madhvacharya remarks, Tesham satyach chalanartham harir dhanvantarir bibuhu samarto pyasuranam tu swahastad amuchat sudam. Dhanvantari, who was carrying the jug containing nectar, was a plenary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but although he was very strong, the asuras were able to take the jug of nectar from his hands. In other words, he let them do it. Text 35. Upon seeing Dhanvantari carrying the jug of nectar, the demons, desiring the jug and its contents, immediately snatched it away by force. Text 36. When the jug of nectar was carried off by the demons, the demigods were morose. Thus they sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Text 37. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always desires to fulfill the ambitions of his devotees, saw that the demigods were morose, he said to them, "Do not be aggrieved. By my own energy, I shall bewilder the demons by creating a quarrel among them. In this way, I shall fulfill your desire to have the nectar." Text 38. O king, a quarrel then arose among the demons over who would get the nectar first. Each of them said, "You cannot drink it first. I must drink it first. Me first, not you." Purport. This is the symptom of demons. The first conception of a non-devotee is how to enjoy his personal sense gratification at once, whereas the devotee's first concern is to satisfy the Lord. This is the distinction between the non-devotee and the devotee. In this material world, since most people are non-devotees, they regularly compete, fight, disagree, and war among themselves, for everyone wants to enjoy and satisfy his own senses. Therefore, Unless such demons become Krishna conscious and are trained to satisfy the senses of the Lord, there can be no question of peace in human society, or any society, even that of the demigods. The demigods and devotees, however, always surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus the Lord is always anxious to satisfy their ambitions. While the demons fight to satisfy their own senses, devotees engage in devotional service to satisfy the senses of the Lord. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement must be alert in regard to this point, and then their preaching of the Krishna consciousness movement will be successful. Text 39 and 40. Some of the demons said, all the demigods have taken part in churning the ocean of milk. Now, as everyone has an equal right to partake in any public sacrifice, according to the eternal religious system, it is befitting that the demigods now have a share of the nectar. O king, in this way, the weaker demons forbade the stronger demons to take the nectar. That's interesting. The weaker ones forbade the stronger ones to take the nectar. The meek shall inherit the earth. Purport. Desiring to take the nectar, those among the demons who were less strong spoke in favor of the demigods. The weaker Daityas naturally pleaded on behalf of the demigods to stop the stronger Daityas from drinking the nectar without sharing it. In this way, disagreement and trouble arose as they forbade one another to drink the nectar. Text 41 to 46. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who can counteract any unfavorable situation, then assumed the form of an extremely beautiful woman. This incarnation as a woman, Mohini Murti, was most pleasing to the mind. Her complexion resembled in color a newly grown blackish lotus, and every part of her body was beautifully situated. Her ears were perfectly decorated with earrings, her cheeks were very beautiful, her nose was raised and her face full of youthful luster. Her large breasts made her waist seem very thin. Attracted by the aroma of her face and body, bumblebees hummed around her, and thus her eyes were restless. Her hair, which is extremely beautiful, was garlanded with malika flowers. Her attractively constructed neck was decorated with a necklace and other ornaments. Her arms were decorated with bangles. Her body was covered with a clean sari, and her breasts seemed like islands in an ocean of beauty. Her legs were decorated with ankle bells. Because of the movements of her eyebrows, as she smiled with shyness and glanced over the demons, all the demons were saturated with lusty desires, and every one of them desired to possess her. Purport. Because of the Supreme Lord's assuming the form of a beautiful woman to arouse the lusty desires of the demons, a description of her complete beauty is given here. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th chapter, 8th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Churning of the Milk Ocean. You went into trance. You went into trance. Phew. All right, I'm going to stop here. It is 7:26. I got to stop a little early time too, because it's been quite a 2 or 3 days, and I got to get up early in the morning to record. Okay, open mic time. Tamal Bubba, do you have something to say? No, you're just drinking it in, just soaking it in. Okay.
Got one on here.
let's have the cyberspace Wallace start it off.
This is from Hannah Gill's friend.
From Hannah Gill's friend?
Yes.
Doesn't have a name?
Well, I'm getting to it.
Oh.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is Hannah's friend Kumari Saki Devi Das.
Kumari Saki Devi Dasi. Oh.
Dasi. Sorry. We are watching together. We are watching together. I have a question. How can we understand that Lakshmi Devi is the source of the same 6 opulences as Krishna? My prior understanding is that Krishna is the only one who possesses all these qualities in full, though Lakshmi is the wife of Narayana and resides on his chest and is part of him.
He didn't say that he had them full. The verse doesn't say that she had them in full. She has them, but she doesn't have them in full. Krishna has them in full. Therefore, even though Krishna's energy is female, and even though she is, the female is the most beautiful, when Krishna becomes a female, he becomes the most beautiful. Ta-da! End of competition. And still, he's attracted to Radharani, and he's attracted to the goddess of fortune, and he becomes bewildered by her. So, yeah, see, the thing is, you have to understand that the goddess of fortune and Krishna and Vishnu, or Krishna and Radharani, are the same soul. They're not 2 souls. If you think they're 2 souls, then you'll be bewildered. So she's the supreme energy and he's the supreme energetic source. Therefore, the goddess of fortune can, by the grace of Krishna, exhibit all the opulences. That's it. Looks like I'm going to have an early night tonight. Krishna's going to fulfill my desires.
Oh, and sorry. One of the purports, I can't remember exactly the text, but Prabhupada described the demigods as Brahma Bhutas, and I thought that was an impersonally realized, or somebody that hadn't had the conception of God being a Krishna.
No,
being
not
a personality.
necessarily. Brahma Bhuta means the liberated soul.
Okay.
The Jiva Bhuta means the conditioned soul, and the Brahma Bhuta means liberated soul.
Okay.
Yes, Prana. I was waiting for Prana to speak. What would happen if you didn't speak? Bereft.
Well, I just have a follow-up question about how you answered that question about if Radha Krishna are one soul. How does that differ from the Mayavad conception, which says that there is no duality? It's only just the one. There is no energy. The Mayavadis don't accept the energy of the Lord. They just accept
Beta Beta Tattva, simultaneously one and different. The Mayavad philosophy is not simultaneous and one is different. It's just oneness. It's not that the Vaishnava philosophy leaves out the oneness, but it's oneness and difference simultaneously. It's right there in Chaitanya Charitamrita within the next, I think, the first so many verses. That Radha and Krishna are one soul.
Sometimes I hear devotees speaking in terms of they try to compare and contrast the oneness and the difference. Some make claims that this oneness is like the ultimate truth, that Radha and Krishna as being one is the ultimate, and sometimes exclude the equal weight of the difference. I don't know. disturbs my mind because I feel like that tends to Mayavad.
I heard Gopi Pradhananda Prabhu say it really nicely. He said, the perfection is to merge in to become one with the variety, with the spiritual variety of the spiritual world. If you try to figure this out with your intelligence, that is materially motivated or materially conditioned, you won't be able to understand, because we're trained, it's one or the other. We can't understand how it's both at the same time. But there's so many examples that were used again and again and again. Maybe we should hear the example again. The sun and the sunshine are both the sun. You never see the sun without the sunshine, and you never see the sun shine without the sun. They're eternally together. Well, until they get merged back up into Mahavishnu. But still, we talk about the sun and we talk about the sunshine as two separate things. So Krishna and his energy are simultaneously one and different. Therefore, it makes a big deal about the fact that the goddess of fortune never leaves Lord Vishnu. She's always with Lord Vishnu.
Well, thank you. This makes it very clear.
Yeah, it's just our tendency from things we've heard before or things that we may have heard others say that tend to make us want to go one way or the other. And that's a very important point, actually, because most philosophers try to come to one conclusion or the other. They can't accommodate that both are true at the same time. That's why achintya, beta tattva, simultaneously, inconceivably, simultaneously one and different. And Jiva Goswami further elaborates that unless you actually accept the achintya principle, and that's why the achintya is first, achintya beda beta tattva. Unless you accept that Krishna is inconceivable, then when he does something that's out of the law of nature, material nature, you can't understand it. Therefore, the spiritual law is 1 minus 1 is equal to 1. And 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. That embodies that principle. That Krishna is in his energy, the supreme source of the energetic and the energy. They're one simultaneously, different and one. And in the spiritual world, because there's no time and space, there's no material earth, water, fire, air, ether, and all those things. All the forms are made of Satchidananda, pure eternity, knowledge and bliss. They have forms, and at the same time, they're advaya. They're one. In agreement, in nature. There's no difference between this. There's no soul, embodied soul, and soul. There's no, inert matter and conscious and organic matter. These are all material concepts in the material world. In the spiritual world, it's completely opposite, has different law of nature. Therefore, we should want to go there. And there are certain things that you won't find out unless you go there. That's why when people ask Prabhupada, well, not everybody, but a few people ask Prabhupada, why Krishna is blue? Prabhupada answered, why don't you ask him? Meaning you have to go there to find out certain things. Therefore, bhaktyamam abhijanati. Only if we can achieve pure devotional service, unalloyed devotional service, can we understand Krishna in full as he is in his original form.
We've got a few more comments on here.
Okay.
Rati Manjari first. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. If you think this question is appropriate, who is more beautiful, Krishna or Srimati Radharani? Or should we not be concerned about this?
I think it's both simultaneously, one different. Krishna is so beautiful that he attracts millions of cupids, and Radharani is so beautiful that she attracts him. What is it? Madan Mohan. Krishna is called Madana Mohan because he is the bewilderer of Cupid, and Radharani is called Madana Mohana Mohini, the bewilderer of Cupid. But you know, frankly, in Radha Krishna Leela, when you actually get down to it, Radharani is the servant of Krishna, the maidservant of Krishna. So even though she's all attractive, even though she attracts Krishna, and he's completely bewildered and Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. She got bewildered. She went into ecstasy, state of. It's like that.
Katie Romai.
Hare Krishna, Katie.
Here's just a comment. It says, "We are nearing the 10th canto, and that's where I will leave you, as I am not qualified to hear about the Rasa Leela, and I don't want to misinterpret it, because I haven't read the previous cantos. On the night you had the discussion about the cows and the vegan movement was spectacular, and it made me realize how truly important it is to hear submissively without challenging the guru, because only that way we can learn the right way."
Well, we invite you to hear with us the 10th canto. So you don't have to leave when we get to the 10th canto, because Srila Prabhupada's purports make it safe to hear it.
And then Vijaya Lakshmi Patel.
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Text 23. Lord Shiva has eternal life. I thought the demigods are one of the living entities generated and get annihilated at the end of the Yuga.
Well, everyone except for Lord Shiva. Because like I said before, Lord Shiva is actually an expansion of Vishnu. He's an aspect of Vishnu. But because he touches the material energy, then he's demoted into a category of demigod. But he's not an ordinary demigod, because he has his eternal form as an aspect. It's called Sada Shiva, an aspect of Lord Vishnu.
Hannah Gill. Hare Krishna Guru Dev.
Haribol, Hannah.
Bhakti and Hannah here. Tonight we read, the celebrated demon Ravana wanted to deprive Ramachandra of Lakshmi Sita, and thus be victorious. But the result was just the opposite. Sita, of course, was taken by force by Lord Ramachandra, and Ravana and his entire material empire were vanquished. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, the first prerequisite for peace is that all wealth presented by Shri, the goddess of fortune, be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone should give up this false proprietorship of worldly possessions and offer everything to Krishna. My realization is that if it is not ours in the first place, and we are depending on Krishna, no matter how surrendered we are, we should use these objects to serve him, lovingly rather than exploit them.
Yes, and one further comment on your comment is that in that sense, there is actually no such thing as renunciation. Renunciation is a myth because nothing belongs to us to renounce. So real renunciation means yukta vairagya uchate, means to use everything, connect everything with Krishna in loving service. That's real renunciation. Not that we give up or go away from anything material and think that that's renunciation. That renunciation is palgu vairagya. It doesn't, in other words, if you renounce something that is in relationship with Krishna, then your renunciation will not sustain itself. Prana, you got more about that? You got more on that?
No,
Sarva, you must have more on that. Look at, he's just eager. What? Something else? Well, it's up to you.
The end of the purport on text 9, Prabhupada writes, one cannot achieve the mercy of the goddess of fortune unless one prays both to her and to the supreme enjoyer of the personality of Godhead. So I was just thinking the Maha Mantra, we have both Hare and Krishna. So in that way we're praying both to Radharani and Krishna.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And further to that, Hare comes before Krishna. Ladies first. In other words, we can't go to Krishna directly. We have to go through Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Srimati Radharani and Lord Balaram are considered to be the original gurus.
She's also the last word in that Maha Mantra.
That's right. Beginning and end. Because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in his Madhurya Kadambini that the source of bhakti is bhakti. There's no other source of bhakti except bhakti. She's self-sufficient. Therefore, you have to associate with Srimati Radharani or a representative of Srimati Radharani or a servant of Krishna. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado, yasya prasada nagati katopi. By the mercy of Krishna, you get Guru. By the mercy of Guru, you get Krishna. And there's that famous verse in the 11th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam in which Krishna says that by his desire, the conditioned souls will be delivered by the dust of the lotus feet of his pure devotees. That's his arrangement. And another way of looking at it is that in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna gives permission to Yogamaya to bewilder him. So when it says that Yogamaya causes, us to forget Krishna in the sense that we forget that he's God, not that we forget him, but we forget that he's God, and therefore we can exchange loving affairs with him equally, as if we're equal. So in order for Krishna to do that, he gives permission to Yogamaya to cover him, so he forgets who he is. And then they both can have friendship and in different loving varieties of tastes. And that's another example of the variety in oneness. This is why the Panchatattva is so important. Why Lord Chaitanya appeared in 5 features to show the persons who are searching for the absolute truth that the absolute truth is not one. There's variety in the absolute truth, even though it's one. Yes, Pran, I thought I'd get a rise out of him over there.
So
with that one.
So I guess with that being understood,
Well, we got a lot of hearts on that one. Look, the hearts are just.
That's Rati Manjari.
That's one person. Rati, you're too much.
Yeah,
You made it
mine's-
look like a whole bunch of people were. What?
It makes me think of the demigods showering flowers.
It's like, fireworks or something. Okay. It's like you're doing a computer game and you win the thing and then it goes. You win.
so with that being said, I've
Here he goes again. Here we go
I've
again.
heard devotees miscontextualize and misunderstand this point of Achincha Veda Veda Tattva. And I've heard things like that there's Radha and Krishna, but Radha Krishna combined is the absolute truth. That there's some other time or form where there's no Radha and no Krishna, but there's Radha and Krishna combined.
Yeah, that's the Mayavad conception, misconception.
And it can also be, and what I asked some devotees this, well, what, is that ever, in the span of eternity, is that ever the case?
No.
Or is that just a false conception? And
False conception.
They even said, though, that in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the CC says, Krishnadas Kaviraj says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that combined form. To which I responded that, well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radharani, and Gadadhar Pandit, according to Gauragana Deshadipika and Srila Prabhupada's purports, is Srimati Radharani.
And not only that,
herself.
Gadadhar is the effulgence of Radharani. There's Gadadhar Pandit, who's Radharani, and there's Gadadhar Das, who's the effulgence of Radharani. So this is just persons who don't have the capacity to accommodate, Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. They want to make it one or the other. They want to make. I won't mention names, but I know a prominent person who went away, and got bewildered by that conception, thinking that there was that Krishna manifested, or the Absolute Truth manifests Krishna's form, or something like that, and they get bewildered. It's the same thing that you're saying. But that we shouldn't be bewildered by the bewildered, You understand? Because Krishna's form is eternal, Radharani's form is eternal, and Lord Chaitanya's form is eternal. In Goloka Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya has an eternal place where he lives, and Radha and Krishna have eternal place where they live. So even though it says that the Absolute Truth, the Radha and Krishna are one, and then they separate, and then they again come together, and that's Lord Chaitanya. It's all just from this position. It's the angle of vision. It's like some devotees fight over the fact of whether or not, or what the Viraja river is. But the causal ocean and the Viraja river are the same. But one is looking from inside and one's looking from outside. Because that whole thing is just a little tiny speck in the whole spiritual sky. And if you look from inside the material, you see it's like a river surrounding it. But if you look from outside, it's a huge ocean, causal ocean. And it's that causal ocean that Mahavishnu lies on and then glances at the material energy. And Lord Shiva's eternal abode is in the last layer of the material energy, most subtle layer. And the Buddhists, their nirvana is found in that causal ocean. They don't go to the Brahmajyoti, they go to the causal ocean, where they get a dark oneness rather than a light oneness. It's just, there's pieces of a puzzle, and there are a lot of them. And to get the picture clear, you have to be able to contextualize things and be able to, So you have to read all these books again and again and again and again. And you can't just imagine. Realization comes from Krishna in proportion to your surrender in pure devotional service. You can't figure these things out with the material intelligence. But they're revealed to a person who is in pure devotional service. There's another verse. I'm very sorry that I don't know all these Sanskrit verses like some of my godbrothers do, but I don't have that kind of memory. But there is a verse that, let me see, I just interrupted myself. What was I saying? What was it? Point I was just saying? Jogged my memory. I lost my train of thought. I went one more step, but I forget where I forget. Sorry, but you got what? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I made the points. I made all the points. There was just one last thing to add on to it. So it's yes. I was going to say that it's revealed knowledge. Krishna's in the heart, and he reveals. One time, Srila Prabhupada was in New York, 1976, and there was a very high-level journalist who came to see Prabhupada, and the person who was cultivating him, I think it was Ramaswar, was cultivating him, and so he said something to the effect that the journalist asked Srila Prabhupada a question about, oh yes, what will happen? Or no, how do you, where do you get the knowledge in your books? Something like that. It was something like that he was asking. Where do you get that knowledge in your books? And Prabhupada said, I get it from Krishna. And then Ramaswar, who was cultivating this guy, didn't want this guy to think that Prabhupada was, saying something. So he said, what he really means is, and Prabhupada cut off Ramaswar and he said, no, Krishna tells me what to say in the books. Krishna's writing these books. And Ramaswar just went, he was like completely chastened by Prabhupada. So it's possible to know these things, in a more perfect way than we can imagine. But you need, oh yes, now I remember what I was going to say. There's a verse where it describes how if without at least the fragrance of the mercy of Krishna, then you can't understand. You need at least to get the fragrance of Krishna's mercy. Means even if you get a little bit of Krishna's mercy, you can understand things that are impossible for materialists to understand. And with that, I'm going to stop. Went 10 minutes over what I wanted to. Thank you so much, everyone. All glories to Mohini Murti, the feminine form of Krishna, who bewildered the demons, and we're going to hear all about it tomorrow. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same place, same station, same time. Radha Lane. Hari Bol.